Welcome back to the Art of Volunteering. I'm your host, Stormy Bell, and today I'm with my friend, Lori Martinek. Did I get that? Almost? Okay, with SCORE. Welcome, Lori.
Hey, Stormy. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Well, Lori and I have been connected through SCORE. I met with the local rep, and she connected me with another person, and I went to another person, and finally we connected today. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Great, me as well.
Lori is a branding and digital outreach expert and the owner of EDC Partners, a marketing and public affairs firm founded in 1988. She is a passionate small business advocate and mentor, a published author, and a long life volunteer. Lori has written 2 books and is the thought leader on creating community and retiring with purpose. In her current role with SCORE, she is working to promote and expand diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives to bring the organization's volunteers and small business clients. Before I ask you to elaborate on your role within SCORE, because there's so much there, can you share about who or what SCORE is and who do you serve?
Absolutely. So SCORE is a mentoring program which is funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration. It's our federal partner. And we are a resource program for them. And basically what SCORE offers, it is for any aspiring, new or growing small business, someone who wants to grow, who is looking for advice, direction, resources, education. And what SCORE does is it helps people plan businesses, works with them to launch them, helps them grow that business. So we provide free access, and free is an important word, as we all know, free access and advice to people who either want to start or grow a business. And it's all fueled by people like me and 10,000 other people like me across the country who are former business owners, former corporate executives, and we are volunteering our time. Everyone in SCORE, these 10,000 people, are all volunteers who are giving of themselves to these people who also want to create some kind of financial independence. So it's a really, really good, worthwhile organization that anybody can access in the United States.
Love it. I had heard of SCORE. I don't know if it was mentioned in college, like coming out, maybe working with a SCORE in mentor, and then kind of wasn't in my circles. And then recently, like I said, I had reached out to our local rep, and she came in, and we're looking, because I work for a nonprofit. We were seeing how we might be able to partner with a mentor to work with our marketing department. We're like a 27-year startup. Like, we're just coming out of a strategic plan and looking at everything new. It's like, maybe we could use some help. So we're exploring that now.
Well, the great thing about SCORE is that a lot of organizations, and your story is not unusual, are looking for outside objective opinions. Okay. My favorite line is, if you want someone to applaud what you're doing and tell you that you're brilliant and it's all good, ask your family and friends. But if you really want to get some good objective advice, go to an organization like SCORE, where they will look at your business plan, they're going to look at your marketing, they'll look at things, and they're not going to solve it for you. They're not going to do it for you, but they're going to ask you questions and encourage you to think in different ways, to look at who your audience is, maybe consider other ways to reach them. So all the questions that, we don't always know that we should be asking ourselves, we can go to SCORE and talk to our local SCORE chapter and get a mentor through them, and have them lead us along this path to ask these questions and do the work, and then also applaud our efforts, as we move along. So it's really a great organization because there are 10,000 people across the country. You can access any of them, no matter where you are, and they have all different specialties. Like you said, Stormy, I'm a branding and digital outreach expert. I'm a marketing person, but we have business people, we have sales people, we have people who are in every part of putting a business together. So you can always find somebody who can help you.
That's absolutely right. And I agree. When we did meet with a couple people, they asked us a lot of questions, like to look at what we were doing and how the different pieces connected. So yeah, definitely hope people listen to the interview today and take that for themselves, because it was really a good experience.
Well, one of the great things about being here this morning also is that, it's all about volunteering. And so we always are looking for new volunteers, no doubt. But the thing about the SCORE story is that if you've ever been nursing that idea where you wanted to start a business, or you have something and you're thinking, well, maybe I could make this happen, that's the other part of this interview, is that you could go to SCORE, and whether you want to be a volunteer or not, you could go there and you say, hey, they may be able to help me move forward in what I want to do in life. So we have a twofer here today. How's that?
I love it. Thank you so much. All right. Now, your current role with SCORE, just talk a little bit about that, because there's a piece of it I find very interesting based on some training that I'm doing with my nonprofit.
At the basic, I am a certified SCORE mentor, and anyone you work with is going to be a certified mentor, which means that they've gone through some amount of training. They're experienced. I've been a business owner for 34 years, and I've been working for more than 40. So everybody brings experience to the table. So I'm a certified SCORE mentor. I'm also a subject matter expert. We have different kinds of volunteers in SCORE. You can be a subject matter expert in whatever your expertise is. You can be a workshop presenter. If you have a subject that you want to share with, aspiring or existing small business owners, you can present workshops for SCORE as a volunteer. And then we have regular volunteers who work in the office and do other support roles like that. So I'm both a mentor and an SME, we call it. But recently, they've also asked me to become the DEI ambassador for SCORE's Western region, which is 5 states, California, Hawaii, Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. And what DEI is: diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when we talk about DEI, we're talking about ways to make our workplace or our organization, whether it's a nonprofit or not, more inclusive of all kinds of people. We look for diversity not only in gender and age and in race, but we also want to make sure that once we do recruit these people and we do bring them on board, or we hire them, or we work with them as clients, that they all feel part of our community. So I'm really, really big on building community, which is one of the reasons that I like, being part of SCORE, is that I believe that we're all out there looking for some kind of community and creating it, whether it's through work or volunteering or the neighborhoods we choose or whatever. And so inclusion is that element where it's, if you hire me, Stormy, or if I join your nonprofit, somebody doesn't just hire me, they also actively work to make sure that I feel part of this. They tell me about leadership opportunities. They tell me about training opportunities. They may invite me personally to the coffee or something like that, so that I feel like I'm not in it alone. And inclusion works everywhere in our lives. I mean, whether it's your new neighbor that you bring to, that you introduce to other neighbors, or the new person in the hiking group, it's so important. So DEI for SCORE, who's really embraced it a lot, means DEI at the volunteer level, making sure that all of us as volunteers feel welcome and incorporated and part of the community, and also our clients, to make sure that we, especially I'm here in Phoenix, and in Phoenix we have a very, very diverse marketplace. So we have a lot of diverse clients. And so we want to make sure that all of those clients feel that they're being heard. We all have different experiences. We want to make sure that, they feel like they're being understood for what they're bringing to the table. So it's, this is recent for me with SCORE. I've been in SBA programs for 20 years now, but the DEI part is exciting and it's important. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that across the country.
Absolutely. Right now, the nonprofit I work with, we're just going through, it's actually called DEIAB, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Access, and Belonging.
Very good. Yeah. Belonging. Yeah.
It's with Tammy Dole Blackman Group, and we've been doing a 6-month training session. We finish in June, and the outcome for every nonprofit participating is to come out with our own DEIAB plan and how we're going to implement it, not just within the organization, but with the people that we work with outside of the organization, our larger community. One takeaway that I had, because many times with the media, you just think it's about race, and it's not. It's any bias or barrier that marginalizes another human. One such topic had come up, and it just resonated with me. There was an individual who talked about having a bias towards tattoos and making hiring and promotion decisions based on that bias. And like looking at that objectively, it's like, no, that's you understand where it came from when it was talked through, but you shouldn't do that going forward, because that's a barrier and it's a bias.
One of the one of the key things about trying to bring DEI to anyone is that it's not all about race. It's definitely not. And in fact, one of the biggest issues, and probably one of my current personal hot buttons, is ageism. And ageism works on both ends of the spectrum. We often dismiss younger people and say they don't have the experience, whereas they may have something that we really need anyway. And then we all know that when people reach a certain age, and particularly women, let's be honest about that, that it becomes very, very hard to move forward in a career, to get new job opportunities. And and ageism is very real. We all read these articles about, oh, as you get towards retirement, we're all going to live longer, so we should work longer and this and that. Well, good luck trying to find someone who's going to hire you or getting the same opportunities that you used to when you were younger. So fighting for DEI, it has to do with age, it has to do with gender. And as women, we have fought lifelong battles with that anyway. It does not get easier as we get older, unfortunately. So it's that in addition to race, it's in addition to, people who have different sexual orientations, people who have different neural conditions. And so it's all over the spectrum, no pun intended, but really, ageism is a huge, huge issue right now. And in SCORE, we're working really hard to make sure that we bring in more women, that more women feel part of the community. We have a lot of women in leadership. If you look at the national level, there's a lot of women there, and that we continue to create these opportunities for everybody. We're also working really hard to bring in more younger people. SCORE traditionally was thought of as an older person's organization for retired people, which it is not anymore. 53%, I think, of our volunteers still own a business actively or are still actively working, and a growing number of them are getting younger and younger. So that's good for a couple of reasons. It creates that diversity and inclusion, but also means when you come to SCORE, you're going to get advice that spans the whole spectrum as well. So that's the best part. The best part of all of this is that we all have different experiences. Even from you and I live in different parts of the country, so we have different experiences. And that makes us all better. It makes us more innovative, it provides more information, and we can learn from each other. So it's exciting to see that. But yeah, DEI, the biggest challenge with DEI is making sure that people don't tune out and think it's all about race. It's an important part of it, but that is not what it's all about.
Firmly agree with that.
Yeah.
So that piqued my interest when I was preparing for the interview. I'm like, oh, we're actually going through this.
I know.
It's nice to have someone to talk to you about.
Anytime you want to chat.
All right. So how did you get involved with SCORE?
Okay. So I have volunteered throughout my life. A lot of times they say, oh, as you get older and you're winding down your career, which I'm not done, but I am getting older. They say, oh, you should start volunteering. Well, I've been volunteering from the get-go. My company is 34 years old. I have always done pro bono work. So volunteering is not new to me. As I find that I'm scaling back my consulting business and I have more time, I was involved in SBA and Small Business Development Center programs, or a related resource partner, for 20 years. And I moved to LA for a little while during the pandemic. And I was introduced to the SCORE chapter there, and I said, okay, SCORE is another SBA program. It fits with my wheelhouse. It takes advantage of all the things that I like to do. And that's how I was introduced to SCORE. I onboarded, which is they bring you in and make sure that you feel included, in Los Angeles during the pandemic. So it was all remote, and really liked what I saw. It is amazing to me how many people continue to give back and to volunteer well into it. And I'm actually was a little bit on the younger side, well into their 60s, 70s, and 80s, because let's be honest, you spend 40 plus years, building a career, accumulating all this expertise, becoming an expert in something, or, passionate about it. And why would you want to turn it off suddenly when you reach a certain point because you're retired or you're stepping back? Why would you not want to use that anymore? So something like SCORE is perfect, whatever your experience is, because you can give as much or as little as you want. There's no requirements for the amount of time. So you can volunteer a few hours a week. We have people who volunteer 40 hours a week. For them, it's become a full-time, volunteering thing. But you can make it whatever you want it to be. So I got into it accidentally. It was an opportunity that came in front of me. I've always been a volunteer. I believe in volunteering and giving back because, especially to people who want to create small businesses. I know that I've had opportunities in life that other people probably do not have. And I really want to try to help them create some kind of financial independence, not necessarily wealth, but some kind of financial independence. And I know that I have expertise that they may not normally be able to find or pay for, traditionally. And so SCORE is a really, really good way to be able to access that, that kind of expertise that can help you create something for yourself, regardless of what it is, a very small business or a small business that grows and gets bigger. So that's how I got into it. It played off of all of my interests and passions about giving back and entrepreneurship and all the things I love, and talking to other people, like you, who are excited about what they're doing, right? You're excited about your nonprofit. You want it to be even better. I love it when I meet people who are either trying to create something or who have something and want it to be even better. I mean, that gets me going. So that's how I got into SCORE. And then I moved back to the Phoenix area probably about a year ago and switched chapters. So this is actually my second SCORE chapter in Greater Phoenix now. And again, similar experience, different bunch of people, different area, but the same culture that we get nationally with SCORE is that, it's all about, we're all in this together, we're working together. I often co-mentor with people in your area, in California, all over the place, because you can go on score.org and find a mentor anywhere in the country. And if I'm someone's mentor and I need an expert on, say, nonprofits or on cybersecurity, I can go find that person and bring them in, and they'll gladly jump in and help the person. So I'm excited to be part of this community. I mean, I'm always looking for, new ways to find new friends, new community, and things like that. And SCORE has been a really good way to do that.
So if you had to put it into 60 seconds or less, why do you volunteer?
Why do I volunteer? I volunteer because I love the idea of giving back. Okay. I love helping other people create something, whether it's financial independence or just confidence or whatever. I'm a really good cheerleader. And 3, because it's so fulfilling. I get to use the things that I'm really good at, my superpowers, and I get to share them with the world. And, that doesn't always have to be for money. Okay. You should be able to give it to the world freely for people who can actually benefit from it. So those are my 3 things.
I love it. This is a little, I guess, a little off track. What were the books that you published?
I've been a writer my entire life. I'm a double journalism school graduate. I've written for newspapers and things, but the 2 books I wrote, the first one was a primer on marketing and branding for entrepreneurs and professionals. It's called Be the Bulb. And the premise of that is, how you can, project a positive energy into the marketplace and create opportunities for yourself by being that person who, even if you're not an extrovert, by being that person who reaches out and, creates opportunity. The second book, which is the one that's been most interesting, back about, when I was getting older, I decided I needed to create a plan. I am single, and, I'm happily single, and I knew that I would probably remain happily single for the rest of my life. So I created this plan. What do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to live? What do I want to be doing? And how do I plan to pay for all of this? So at the end of this, I created this plan, and I said, you know what? I think there's a lot of other people in my age group who are out there trying to figure out the same thing. So I wrote a book. It's kind of another primer, if you will. Apparently, I have a lot to say about how to do things, called Retiring Solo. And it's how you can either be, remain, or become happy, healthy, socially engaged, and independent as you grow older as a solo person. And it's done well because mainly we all know that even if someone's really happily married or partnered right now, sadly, unfortunately, people rarely go at the same time. So everybody ends up single again at some point. So it has relevance for a lot of people. And interestingly, also internationally. I mean, it's not that, it's not something I'm going to get rich off of, and that was never the purpose, but it seems to have a bigger following internationally. And I attribute that to like Facebook and social media and some of the groups I belong to. Yeah. So it's interesting how you can reach people all over the place. So yeah, they're both on Amazon. I'm self-published. I also have a small publishing company. It's called Her Life Publishing. There's other books I want to write. And that kind of goes depending on what my current passion is. The third book will be about retiring with purpose. As I struggle with this whole idea of getting older, and when you give up your career whatever it was, a career or a job or whatever, you lose identity, you lose your community, you lose all the people you were working with, and that can be really hard. They pound into our heads how we're supposed to plan financially, but they don't really tell us a lot about, making sure that you can take care of that vacuum, that you're going to lose a lot of those contacts. You're not going to have that job to get up for in the morning. And if you've always been a volunteer like I have, that's not going to suddenly fill it in, and you can only hike so much, and you can only drink so much, and you can only travel so much. So, I mean, and you're probably going to live another 20 or 30 years, right? So, it's a lot to think about. So that's the one I'm working on next. So.
Well, what you're speaking of there is part of the reason why I promote volunteering is because it does give purpose, and it does give community, and it gives people something to do to keep their skills up or to help someone else so they're not focused on themselves. Like, there's so many reasons that complement what you were just saying.
Absolutely. Volunteering is an absolute great way to use your time and your expertise. And I'm just trying to find new ways to do it and fill. Even if you've been a volunteer your entire life, and a lot of us have, but there are so many ways that now that you do have more time, you can really get into something. You can get into leadership. You can start to become more than, just a casual volunteer. You can actually start something, perhaps even like your nonprofit. Here's your opportunity.
So thank you for sharing. Oh, I love that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So can you share a story of impact, something that you've experienced with SCORE, or a success story, something that you'd like to share?
That's a hard question because so many of the things we do are success stories. And when people ask me that question, it's that success is such a relative thing. Okay. And success for some people is just getting that business started, getting the door open. Not everybody is looking to create great wealth. A lot of people just want to own something, or they want to create something that other people can share in. Other people create that and then are surprised that it turns into something really big. So in SCORE, we measure our success not so much by some other programs measure by, how many sales did you have, this and that. And we all want to help people grow. But to me, a real success story is anytime that I can help someone who either had the odds stacked against them for whatever reason, whether how they grew up or the community they live in, or just having no resources to work with other than their own, their own passion and get-go, is to see them actually get started and to get something off the ground and to work really hard at it. And success is being able to hire that first employee or to have that first sale or whatever it is. So to me, it's all about baby steps. I really, I get off and I get excited by seeing those successes. And of course, we all want to see the big success stories, but for a lot of people, that's not really achievable or maybe even relatable. For a lot of people, that story of someone who finally hung the open sign in the coffee shop or got the food truck or whatever is the one they said, I could do that too. And to me, that's the big success. That's the story I like to tell a lot of people, because then you can see the light bulb go on over their face where it's like, they get the idea that, if she or he or they could do it, I could do it too. So to me, that's the best part.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
All right. I shared this question with you before we started. It's my favorite question.
Yeah.
Can you share, excuse me, can you share a blooper or something that just didn't go as planned and what was learned from it?
So I thought about this one a lot, Stormy, and I we all have bloopers in our life, but to me, I'm going to turn it a little bit on you, because to me, a blooper is a left turn. A left turn is where we're headed in one direction in life, and suddenly we make this left turn, and it takes us in a totally different direction that we never planned for or expected. And that's happened to me a bunch of times in my life. So the first time was I was actually headed towards, I was going to go to law school like a lot of people did back in the 80s. And I made this left turn and I went to journalism school instead. I mean, a complete left turn. Okay, and it turned out to be one of the very best things I ever did in my life. It set me on a lot of different paths. It led to me starting my business, which specializes in public relations and marketing. Then I made another left turn. I went to work corporate first for a big company, and that was going well. And then I made this hugely left turn and decided to start my own business. And this was back again in the 80s when personal computers had just come out, and I saw an opportunity where I could do something with my writing and my publishing, that I now had the ability to do. So that was a huge left turn for me. but it turned out to be really like one of the best things I ever did. 34 years later, it really was the best path I could have taken. And so now I'm kind of at this place again as I dance on the edge of retirement. I'll never be truly retired, but I'm sitting here and I've spent my entire life, working, being a consultant, getting paid for that. And now I've kind of made this hard left turn into volunteering. I've always been that volunteer, but now I'm really essentially doing it almost full time. Okay, right now. And I've really, I've dove into SCORE. I've gone into leadership. I've gone into regional leadership, I'm speaking nationally and do things like that. And that was a huge left turn from even a year ago, where I still had clients that I had responsibilities for, and there was money coming in. And now, there's not money coming in the traditional sense. It's all volunteer. So another big left turn. So it remains to be seen how that's working out. But so far, again, it's going really well. And if it's like the other times that I made that left turn or that blooper or that unplanned whatever, it really turned out to be the best decision I could make. So the upside of all of that is, if that left turn is in front of you and you're like, oh, that doesn't make any sense at all, sometimes you should really take it, because that's where things are really gonna, when we get off the expected path, that's when things can get really interesting in a really good way.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I love that.
Good.
Okay. We are at the point in the interview, and my guests know it's coming. What I'm going to give you the opportunity to love on SCORE, something that we didn't cover, or if you want to go back over something we did cover and just love on it. Why should people get involved?
So what you should get involved in anything, not just SCORE. And I'm going to tell you in a second why SCORE, but, like me, like Stormy, we've spent a lot of our life, getting expertise, becoming good at something. It doesn't have to be business expertise, and being passionate. And so this is an opportunity really to get out there and share what you're good at. Everybody has a superpower, okay? It's completely different, whether you're a writer, you're a business person, you're an athlete, you're just really empathetic and you're good with children or dogs or older people or whatever it happens to be. You have a superpower. And I really feel that all of us have a responsibility to go out and share those superpowers with the rest of the world and to give back as much as we could. And at the very least, hopefully find young people who have similar superpowers or look like they might and help cultivate them. Because, we're not getting any younger. None of us are getting younger. So we always need to be thinking about, well, in addition to me creating this legacy for me and hopefully doing something positive, who are going to be the people who are going to do this after me. So I'm always trying to find people who are, younger, at least by, one generation or so, and get them engaged and excited about volunteering, and how this can be a benefit to them. So I think that's really important. So whatever it is that you feel you can do, that you're good at, share it with somebody. Start a meetup group, start a club, go out and find other people who are looking for community, find people with those interests and bring them together. You'd be amazed what you can learn from them. So my advice to all of you, and definitely go to score.org, first of all, score.org, first of all, for two reasons. You can learn about volunteering, and we love volunteers. We want to have you. You can volunteer anywhere in the country. They'll get back to you, and someone will actually call you and chat with you about, what you feel you have to offer, and you can determine whether you think it's a good match for them as well as vice versa. But then also, as I said earlier, if you have any idea or any inkling where you might want to start a business, also go to score.org, and you might want to talk to someone and think about how you can make that happen, okay? Whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. But my advice to everyone, okay, and this applies to any organization, is do it now, okay? Volunteer now. Don't wait until you're retired. Don't wait until you have more time. You're going to get a lot of value from the experience. This isn't just about giving back. This is about you getting something as well. And we all know we feel satisfied, we feel fulfilled, we learn. Gosh, one of the other things I volunteer for is a conservancy here in Arizona where we're all stewards. And I learned so much from these people who are scientists and who know about nature and about ecology and things like that. And I never thought of myself as a science nerd, but now I am a nature nerd as well. So you're going to get back as well. But regardless of what you're doing right now, and no matter how busy you are, at least start thinking about how you could volunteer and look for those opportunities and maybe just flirt with them a little bit. And, go to a meeting or ask for information or talk to someone who's part of it and start planning it. And I will tell you personally in closing that as you're getting near retirement, do not wait. Do not wait to put together that plan because it snuck up on me a little bit. I wrote a book about this and I thought I was very well prepared. And it still ended a little faster than I thought it would. And I suddenly was like, oh, so now I'm trying to tread a little bit of water here. And the score thing has been really good, but I'm still trying to figure out, okay, where's this identity coming from? Is this enough of a sense of purpose? Where am I going to replace these people who I had in my life before? So start thinking about that. And if you have advice to share, I'd love to hear it, first of all. And secondly, you may too want to write a book. Writing a book with your advice and sharing your passions is a really, really good way to volunteer and to give back because people can learn from you that way as well. So, if I just do it now, share what you have to offer and learn from other people at the same time.
This has been awesome today. I've so enjoyed having you on. We're going to have Lori's her social links in the show notes, so you can check that out there if you'd like to get in touch with her. Well, Lori, again, thank you for being a guest on The Art of Volunteering. I know my guests have truly appreciated our conversation. And to my audience, I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.